Hello, everybody out there in WiseUP land. Thank you so much again for listening to my horrible voice. I do have a face for radio, I've been told. Today, I have a special guest, as I always have special guests, but today, for the first time ever, we're actually hosting live with a person in the same room. We're not in another country like we did in our last show. I was in Ireland and Vertiv was in Ohio, or in previous years somebody's been in Asia region. I'm on North America, so this is a one in a lifetime opportunity. I get to be with Gina Sansivero.
You got that.
Yeah. She's the VP of Marketing at AtlasIED, and if you don't know what AtlasIED is or what they do, you're about to find out. So hang on to your hats, folks. WiseUp podcast. As you know, we're now in our 5th season. Hold the applause. Right? So really exciting to know that syndicated in 80 countries now.
Wow.
So it's been a great turnout and unexpected. Thanks, Mom, for all those likes. But nonetheless, enough about me, enough about WiseUp and where you can listen to us. But if you're not following WiseUp on social media, shame on you. But we're brought to you by the lovely folks at Wise Components, bringing quality solutions to the market since 1975. That being said, Gina, welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here in Hicksville with you.
Long Island, Strong Island, folks. For
there
those
you
of you
go.
who know, today, Long Island, New York. We're going to the Hamptons after this. All right. So, Gina, being the position that you're in now, what led you to this position? Did you wake up one morning and you say you graduated college and said, I'm now VP of marketing for Atlas?
Oh yeah, no, that didn't even happen a little bit, but I know I do look young, like that could have happened yesterday. Yeah. But no, I think like everybody, I just fell into this industry and then fell in love with it. So I was doing marketing for a medical components supplier. I had started there as a summer job during college, as a marketing assistant, and moved my way up, marketing coordinator, product management, things like that. And I was like, well, I've come as far as I can at that company. I was there for 6 years. I said, I'd really like a new challenge where I can grow progressively. So I found this ad on, oh my gosh, it must have been like a Monster or a Career Builder. I don't think they're even around anymore. And
you didn't say the newspaper, so it's okay.
No.
Right? It was online,
it was
so
online.
You're not that old, right?
But I went and I had this interview, and my first job in audiovisual was for a startup company. And I was with that company and became a partner in that company. But I was with them for about almost 10 years. And then kind of moved around a bit, went to FSR, which is an infrastructure company that also does works with low voltage distributors and integrators. And then after leaving FSR, I found my way to AtlasIED. And this has been so much fun because I don't have a background in audio. And now I'm an audio woman. And this has been a huge learning curve for me, but a really, really fun one.
Yeah, no. And so tell us about AtlasIED a little bit, where they come from and what do they cover so much?
Sure. So AtlasIED is an 87-year-old company.
So a couple of years.
A couple of years. And they started in Brooklyn. Most people don't know that, but they started in Brooklyn. Oh my gosh. See? I mean, fate's aligned.
It's meant to be.
So they moved to, Missouri, and then eventually to Texas. And sometime in, I think it was the early 90s, Lloyd Ivey bought Atlas, and it was Atlas Sound at the time, and he brought it under his family company umbrella. About 2010 or so, he bought IED, which is Innovative Electronic Designs, and they were headquartered in Louisville, brought that under his company umbrella, and kind of smushed the two together, and it became AtlasIED. So that's kind of the history of the company. But Atlas Sound was always a commercial loudspeaker company. And the reason why they started in Brooklyn was because they were making horns for huge military ships. For,
Navy shipyards.
Yeah, exactly. For World War II.
Right.
So that was kind of how they started.
Pretty historic, yeah.
It was a really cool story. And I was like, wow, this sounds like the type of company that I want to be a part of, because my mission was to take this really great history of 87 years old, having been born and raised in Brooklyn and you know, kind of moved around the country and created its legacy. But we want to take it further. It's now a digital company. It's now an electronics company. Most of the people who know the IED side, they know that they're a transportation-focused company. So we do about 85% of the announcement control in airports nationwide.
So you were saying before that with all this convergence and mergers and acquisitions along the way of this great history of the company, is it comprised of two divisions of your company that make up AtlasIED, or is it many more than that?
So AtlasIED is a single entity that has a number of different focuses.
Okay.
So one of them would be the mission critical transportation focus.
Okay.
And that is we have a specific audio system that is created for that mission critical application to be tied into life safety.
And what's that called or referred to?
So that is called GlobalCom.
Okay.
So if you're walking through the new LaGuardia Airport Terminal and you see a bunch of microphone stations on the gate agent desks, and it says GlobalCom AtlasIED, that's ours.
Woohoo!
Yeah. If you look up and you see all of the round speakers with a little emblem in the middle, those are all of our speakers at LaGuardia
That's so
Airport.
impressive. I've spoken to a lot of different manufacturers along the 5 seasons that we've been doing, and it's so crazy that what you just described, that's what our show's about, because we're saying WiseUP to the folks that are listening out to us, not to say, hey, get smarter, but more so like understanding there's smart buildings, there's the cloud and all these things, but it's the stuff behind the walls, above the ceilings, right, that are making our lives a little bit more safer and able to do what we do, right? So when you were telling that story, I'm grinning because, you know, all the people, all that we've spoke to before, they equally get excited, and you see, oh, I'm a part of that, you know. And it makes a big impact, and that's what we've been doing on the show for the last 5 seasons, is trying to, you know, people talk about the cloud, and, you know, but they don't understand there's a physical layer, there's a physical infrastructure around that. Or when you going into a smart building and then all these different things turn on, turn off, and there's a network that's supporting that. So each and every time we have a guest on that's talking about it, and you see the passion that they have for their product, it's great. So I would say in the transportation is probably not your only vertical,
without a doubt.
But it's a big one.
It's a big one for us. Even bigger is education.
Okay.
Yeah, K-12 education specifically, but also higher ed. And what we have in that segment is mass communication. Okay. Mass communication is more on the security side than the audiovisual side. And it's just, you know, a lot of people say, oh, well, it's paging, it's public address. No, it's a lot more than that. And so what we found is educating the education community becomes a paramount importance. This is not just your intercom system. This is an extension of that. This can be part of that, but this goes beyond that. We have mass communication systems that can reach on-premise and off-premise faculty, staff, and students, and their parents, and first responders in the case of emergencies.
And with that being said, you know, for the folks again that are listening, you know, the AtlasIED, the mass notification, it's current events. Unfortunately, it's the cruel reality that we've lived in to over 20 years, from Columbine shooting in Colorado, the United States, and then most recently the Florida incident that happened, and then it's not only schools but other public venues that you have to help mitigate this risk, right? I wish you could purchase your system and it says, like waving a magic wand, and it's like you'll never have to worry about this again, but not the case. But it does help. And my question to you is, how does it help, and how does it help mitigate that risk?
Right.
What's the from start to finish when you deploy this and then now you're safe? No, it's a little bit more complex than that, but
yeah, unfortunately, it is far more complex than that. But if you think about it, I mean, we'll take it from a non-education standpoint.
Right.
If you think about having been in a hotel, listen, I travel all the time, you travel all the time. You're in a hotel and you're on the 35th floor and the fire alarm goes off. And you just hear this awful wail at 3 o'clock in the morning, and you go over to the little peephole and you see if anybody else is coming out in their pajamas and what you're going to do about this, because now you have to think about, I can't use the elevator, right?
Running down the stairs.
See, and then
and the other people would say,
they'd be like, what is
this
happening
idiot
right now?
going down the stairs for?
So that happens. You go back to sleep. Everything's okay. It happens again. It's a false alarm. It would be a lot better if you could hear instructions that say, this is a false alarm. You know to go back to sleep. Or, this is not a false alarm. There's a fire in the kitchen. Please use the stairwell at the east side of the building.
Right.
Clear, consistent, coherent instructions where you're able to really, move in the direction that is life-saving direction.
Now,
a
lot of these hotels, like we have a picture in our office of those of you not watching the video of the New York City skyline. So many of these buildings have already been constructed, right? So how does your system integrate with existing speakers or existing systems that are out there? Is that possible even?
Absolutely. Well, that's a great question, because our system is IP based, right? And there are a lot of people who say, well, I can't afford to put IP speakers all over my building. It's a 200-story building or whatever it might be. So we have gateways that convert that digital IP signal to an analog signal. So you can hook up to old analog speakers if you'd like. The question that you have to ask yourself is, how old are they? Are they still functioning? Are they still intelligible?
Like the subway.
Oh, yeah. I was on the subway the other day and I was like, I think my stop is coming up. I had to you're passing by and the words are coming by so fast. I'm like, I think I'm supposed to get off here.
Yeah, and you get in the wrong neighborhood and it's
forget it. Get turned around.
Oops. So basically you're saying that in many cases an open API, you could write code to integrate with another system.
I mean, it's a black box.
Yeah.
It's a black box that would absolutely allow you to convert just the digital signal to an analog signal and its speaker wire out, right? So really, really simple stuff. We also integrate with life safety systems like fire alarm. We can, for healthcare and things like that, we can integrate with Code Blue software, with Nurse Call, with the baby chimes in the newborn area. So there's so much meat. There's so much that this system can do. It's not just looking at these IP endpoints and saying, okay, I have a speaker or I have a display and I can see and hear the instructions that are going to save lives. No, it's also about being able to tie in and become a hub for other disparate systems, right? I mean,
seconds matter, right?
Without a doubt.
So one of the things that we're experiencing with these violent acts of crime and these mass shootings, especially in the schools, not getting a clear message across in a quick manner. It can be one life loss, which is a great loss. But then if you could avoid 2 people or 3 or even furthermore, just because you're able to get a clear message across, how impactful, and it's such a powerful message, you would think that every school across the country would deploy this tomorrow. Like
I mean, yeah, it's a huge product category for us.
So being, again, K through 12 or even higher ed for that matter, are there any laws in place that either federal or state that are driving a force to say, hey, this makes sense? You as educators, you know, safety is paramount for our children and faculty and staff. Maybe we should invest in something like that. Is there anything out there that...
So there are some laws that are being adopted in some states. One in particular is Alyssa's Law, and that has just been adopted in New Jersey and New York, Florida, and I believe Texas. There's a handful of states that are still evaluating it, and then more to come. And what Alyssa's Law does is, it's a little bit vague in the writing, but there's a requirement to have a straight notification point to first responders. So a system like ours, if you were, for example, a teacher who had a panic button on their lanyard, because most teachers have their identification lanyard to get in and out of buildings and things like that. So they have a panic button on their lanyard. Something happens. It could be a health crisis. A child is having a seizure. You press the button on the panic button on the lanyard. That not only sends a direct message to the main office that there is something going on in that room, but it also sends a notification directly to first responders to deploy an ambulance. So not having, again, we're talking about it being more of a hub, the mass communication system being more of a hub for a lot of disparate systems. Right. If something were to happen, for example, unfortunately, an active shooter situation, we have the ability to pull in that communication to first responders. We have the ability to communicate to, the other buildings on the campus, inside the building and outside the building. We can communicate to remote workers. We can communicate to the community. Please stay away. We are in lockdown situation. If you are, coming up to the front door, go back to your car and please call 911. When you're in a lockdown situation like that, it's a panic situation. It's a high stress situation. Right. You don't want to have to go. There's a lot of confusion. Yeah, you don't want to have to pick up the phone and call the risk. Yeah, absolutely. Call the police. Call the fire department. Call the ambulance. Call the
National Guard. Right. And I'm not making a joke of it, because it is such a severe. It's truly worse than the pandemic, in my opinion, because no rhyme or reason these things have happened in schools and continue to happen in public venues. We've seen at the FedEx Depot in Indianapolis, the Vegas shooting. Sure. At that. I forget the concert name, but regardless, there was dozens of people murdered for no reason, and
wasn't there a ballroom dancing one in California? It's just been awful.
It just doesn't make sense. So it's like you don't know where these things, and especially being children needing so much instruction to begin with in school. Especially through the K through 12, they need that direction, that guidance, that reassurance. And the teachers and faculties and staff, they need that too, because you look at, even in the city of New York, average classrooms anywhere from 25 to 30 children, ranging in ages from 5 to 17 years of age. And you have a lot of them. There could be a lot of confusion. And to help get a clear message across, AtlasIED seems to have it down to a science. From a training and implementation, what does AtlasIED offer?
So we've really gone out of our way to ensure that specifically K-12 administrators and SROs really have what they need for a successful deployment. And so what we've done is we've hired on staff as a contract employee a man named Jesus Villahermosa. And Jesus was a 30-year police officer. He's retired now. He was a member of the SWAT team, and he was a first responder to a mass shooting at his son's high school. He was the point man on that. It's so disturbing. Yeah. But to hear him talk, he has such a passion for ensuring that school administrators school faculty and SROs are so properly trained on the right things to do during a tragic mass shooting incident. So we bring him on board and we allow him to do a lot of the training. He talks through emergency preparedness plans, finds gaps in the plans, talks about how to ensure that lockdown.
And this whole training that Jesus is conducting with each and every school, he's helping like build that proper strategy. And what's the cost to the school?
So
for something like this?
We offer
package tier levels or something to that degree.
So we offer like the initial intro to Jesus. He usually does between 2 and 3 hours of educating.
Right.
And then if the school wants to go beyond that, they would hire him directly.
Right.
So we provide that first initial
that's amazing.
at no cost.
You know, there's a lot of products out there, whether it be pertaining to mass notification, wireless, security cameras, whatever it is, and then it's like almost like you're handed the equipment. It's like, all right, go put it together.
Yeah,
right?
good luck.
Good luck.
Yeah.
So your company taking this extra step is a huge thing that says about what it is, and you want to see it through. It's not like snake oil. You're not looking to just go town to town selling this stuff and say, oh, we'll get the next sucker. You know,
yeah, right.
This is definitely, there is a challenge out there, and you found a solution to help mitigate this risk, specifically in K through 12. We've been highlighting. Now, as far as because AtlasIED is the manufacturer of the product, you're not necessarily going to be the ones implementing and turning the screws and installing it. So how does one who's listening out there that might be an electrician or a low voltage contractor or dealing as system integrator, how do they get to learn how to properly install this equipment, or design for that matter?
Absolutely. So we do have, we call it AtlasIED Academy, and we do have a couple of courses just on our IP endpoints, which is the pieces that make up this mass communication system. Mm-hmm. So we do have training online. We have webinar training, so live instructor if people want to do that. We also have in-classroom training. So we have classrooms in our Louisville office, and people can fly in if they'd like to and take some courses there. But what we also do is we have a free design services team. So if you're, look...
I think the mic's not working. You just said something and it blanked out. You said free?
Free design services.
Oh, she said free.
I did.
Okay.
I did. So you would come to us and
free.
You would say, hey, listen, here's the blueprints of the school, and we're trying to figure out how to deploy this mass communication system. Where do these endpoints go? Our design services team will come in and they will say, okay, here's your bill of materials. Here's the design. Here's the wiring drawings. Here's what you need.
Have at it.
Have at it.
So that's, again, that is amazing that, again, you and your company, AtlasIED, want to see this from start to finish and expand upon it and ensure that not just one school or one public venue or one healthcare institution is deploying, but everybody has this safety net, if you will, theory. It's not selling on fears. I would say it's just unfortunate current events that we're combating against. And, your company has evolved from just doing public, address speakers or, from the military to now this. It's amazing, the journey that it's come, and you're along for the ride, and they're probably very lucky to have you.
Aw, thank you. That is so kind.
So for the folks, again, that are listening to WiseUP and continue to listen to us now in the 5th season, you could listen to us on Google Play, Apple iTunes, Anchor, however you listen. You and 80 other countries have given us a 5-star review, so please continue to do so. And if you don't like this episode, there's something seriously wrong with you. But all the links, all the content that we reviewed today with Gina, thank you so much. We'll be sure to have in the bio so that you could click along with Gina's contact information. We'll put the address of her house and everything. So you can, you'll stalk her.
Please
whatever.
don't drunk dial me at 1 a.m.
So again, thank you all from the WiseUp podcast team, and we greatly appreciate you continuing to listen. And Gina, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for inviting me. This is so great.
It is, and again, you are the first in-person guest that I've had out of the dozens of people that I've spoken to, and this has been a great thing, a great, so I can't thank you enough.
Yeah, I'm so very, very honored to be your first.
Well, everybody, don't forget, Wise Up. Continue to listen up and give us comments, reviews, and contact me if you want to join the guest, the hot seat, or if there's any topics of discussions that you want us to cover in the future. I'm Anthony Romeo. This has been another wonderful edition of Wise Up Podcast. Thank you.